Mochi. This is Ask Ashley, where you get to get live coaching. And then, of course, I'm going to bring a question or a topic that has been showing up in my my private Queenly Entrepreneur group or with my one-on-one clients. And we're going to discuss it. And today we're going to be talking about full life wealth. What does it mean and why should it be your priority in 2021? And hey, friends, I see you hopping on here. Mochi, I have to take him to doggy daycare, and I have not done that yet, and so he's kind of anxious and wants to be a part of the show. So we'll see how it works. Anyways, welcome. This is my weekly show where, again, I answer questions from my private clients in my mastermind group, and also anything that is up for discussion. So today we are talking about, Corey, I'm so glad that you are on here because I'm dedicating this episode to you because we are talking about what is full life wealth, what does it mean, and why should it be our priority in 2021? And I love this because actually Corey was the first person who brought this to my attention, the idea of full life wealth and what that means. And it has inspired my entire brand of the Queenly Entrepreneur, what that represents, and especially because I do work primarily with women, why that is important. Because it does not make sense to have a multi-million-dollar business, but you have a $2 relationship with your child. It does not make sense to be a best-selling author, to be on the TV shows, to have all of these accolades, but your health is completely declining because you're not sleeping, you're constantly stressed out, etc. So full life wealth is really leaning into the belief that you get to have it all, and I really don't believe in balance. I feel like things are always going to be a little bit out of balance. And after being an entrepreneur and a very driven and hungry entrepreneur for the past 9 years, almost a decade, which is so crazy to think about, things are going to be out of balance. If I'm in a launch, I'm probably not going to be sleeping as much because I have way more adrenaline pumping through my body and ideas that are channeling, so I'm just not going to be sleeping as much. Sometimes I forget to eat. So it's okay if things are out of balance, but we can bring them into harmony, which is really, really important, and that's a big part of what full life wealth means. Because I feel, especially as women, I know that we have some men on here too, and hello everyone who's hopping on, but I really notice as women, we are expected to really do it all, to be the house cleaner, to be the chef, to also run a successful business, and to be looking really great, and to be the mom, and to educate the children, make sure they're up with their homework, and XYZ, all of the things, and it can feel really overwhelming. And that's why I'm really leaning into this idea of full life wealth, because it is time for us to shift to a new belief system about what success is and what success means. Mochi's chewing on my clothes over here. And what success means. Because for me, my version and definition of success is happiness and ultimately creating full life wealth for myself and for my family. And so, come over here, buddy. And so with that being said, some of the areas of full life wealth are definitely considering, for sure, career, because I work with entrepreneurs, but also balancing or keeping in harmony our health, our relationships, our finances. What are the other really important areas of life that are important to you? That's another thing that we want to focus on here is what are your values? What's important to you? What do you want to lean into? It doesn't matter what Susie Q or Tony Whoosy What's It Next Door is focusing on. What do you value most? What is in your wheel of life that is really important to you that you want to make sure is in harmony as you move forward in the direction of your goals and your dreams? And I will tell you, many of you know this, that I had cancer back in 2009, 2010. And it was a really aggressive kind. We had to have emergency surgery to get that removed. And I was really just a teenager, and it was so terrifying. And I'm so glad that they removed that cancer, and I've been cancer-free ever since. So snaps for that. But with that being said, we all have an expiration date. What if it became a full aggressive form of cancer and they didn't catch it in time and I ended up being, in the hospital? Would it have been worth it up until that point to sacrifice my health and be in the hospital because I wasn't keeping that harmony and I was running myself ragged to pay the bills, to have the perfect profile? That wouldn't make sense, right? Like, that's being completely out of balance. And then shortly after, I went into cardiac arrest, ran a half marathon. didn't complete it alive, but I did finish on the gurney because 10 feet before the finish line, I collapsed and went into cardiac arrest. So CPR saved my life. Again, snaps for that. Thank you for paramedics and all that you do, because I wouldn't be here without you. And with that being said, waking up in the hospital in my 20s and realizing if I didn't have them there, I wouldn't be here today. And again, we all have an expiration date, and that was almost mine. And how did I get in that position in the first place? I was not living for full life wealth. I was completely sacrificing my health so I can lean into a lot of other things that were not as healthy. And so that's another thing that I want to really lean into is, what do you want? This sounds kind of morbid. Sorry if you can hear Mochi chewing on my chair in the background. It's kind of loud. But what do you want people to say when you take that last breath? What do you want people to say at your funeral about you? Do you want you to say they were the best partner, they were an amazing mother or father, they were wildly successful and had this beautiful impact in the world? Or do you think they'll secretly be saying, oh yeah, they worked a lot, they never saw their family, and it makes perfect sense that they ran themselves to death in a marathon or something like that? Like, what story do you want people to say? What story do you want people to have in their mind about you? And really, it's not about their impression, but that really does help me frame it of, what does my full life wealth look like? What kind of impact do I want to have in the world? What type of relationships do I want to have in the world? I want them to be nourishing. I want people to see that I am able to create harmony in all of these areas. So it kind of sounds all over the place, but these are very important key factors when it comes to focusing and designing your version of what full life wealth means to you. And why we should make it a priority is because we are the sickest nation right now, and we are the most stressed nation right now, and that needs to change. We need to stop hustling and I don't want to say digging, because I do believe we got to dig into our goals and our aspirations and all of those things, but we got to quit the hustle mindset to the point, hey, it's 11:11, angel numbers. We got to stop, because we are running ourselves to death. We are running ourselves ragged. We are not always able to fully pay attention to our children, to our priorities, etc. And now it's time for a change. So what does your version of full life wealth look like? Can you guys hear him? He's really, really loud. Alex, how are you? I was thinking about you today, actually. How has that near-death experience redefined your priorities in your life? It changed everything. Actually, it was from that moment, because I was in the hospital for 3 days. I was the youngest person in the cardiac unit, and they were like, we don't really understand what happened. You basically ran yourself to death. And the paramedics came in, they brought me my medal, they told me what had happened, and it was so surreal, it didn't feel real. It actually didn't feel like a big deal until they explained it to me. And so I had 3 days in the hospital to sit by myself and really think about this. And really, I guess tying this into full life wealth is, what do I want my life to look like? And if it were to end in that moment, would I be proud of it? Would I be proud of myself and the lives that I changed and the people I was able to support and the life that I lived and how I was able to impact the world? And the answer to that was absolutely not. Not at all. In fact, there were a lot of things I didn't want anybody to know. And so now as I lean in, I want to have that full life wealth where we are not sacrificing what we value most. And so when we do take that final breath, that moment has really, propelled me in this thinking that when we do take this final breath, that we are really proud of where we have been and what we have done and accomplished. So I love that question. So everyone else who's hopping on here, please let me know what questions you have. I would really love for this to be a live coaching Q&A opportunity. I do this in the Mediocre to Magical Academy on Facebook. On Monday, we have card pulls and opportunities for coaching, but I really want to connect more with my Instagram audience. And so please let me know what you have. And if I glance at my notes here, I think the overall and overarching theme of this is you get to create your reality. And for a long time, especially as I was building my business, I thought that I had to be, as mentioned, like the best-selling author, in-demand expert, keynote speaker. For some reason, my value is really found in those accomplishments. And if I wanted to do that, that meant that sometimes I was away from my daughter, and that meant sometimes I was distant from my partner, and that also meant that sometimes I wasn't eating or I wasn't sleeping. And again, those things are going to happen because we get to find a place of harmony. But when I really thought about it, that wasn't the life I wanted to live. I get to have it all, and guess what? I am those things today. But I have done it and accomplished it and continue to lean in without sacrificing what I value most. And that might mean I go a little bit slower. And that might mean it's kind of frustrating for somebody like me who likes to be an overachiever. I mean, for example, I ran myself to death at a marathon. Like, my heart and body were stopping, and I was like, no, here's the finish line. I'm going to keep going. So that's kind of part of my pattern. But with that being said, like, we get to choose and honor, what does our full life wealth look like? What do we value? And we get to make a conscious choice to not sacrifice or abandon what matters to us most. So with that, hello everyone who's on here. I want to wave to you. Alex says, and how did you manage all these changes in your health while maintaining work-life balance? Excellent question, because now I still do struggle with many autoimmune disorders. I do have fibromyalgia, and we're running additional tests to make sure that that's all that it is. So holding space for that, because my body is really delicate, and being a very sensitive person, in life and in general, my body, it is sensitive. So if I am not balancing my work life, if I am not balancing my sleep and my nutrition and my leisure and play and joy as well, then my body, it's kind of like a gag reflex, actually. It's like a gag reflex. If I'm not supporting myself enough, it's like the stop lock, and it's like, nope, you can't do anything, and then I'll have a fibro flare up, which if you guys are familiar with, it's a brain pain disorder. And so basically massive fatigue, brain fog, even to the point where I can't walk or hold a pencil. It's pretty intense. And so to answer your question, how I manage these changes with my health and work-life balance is, actually, I'll give you the real secret here now that I think about it. It's based on my ovulation cycle. It really is. When I'm ovulating, I feel so good. I'm so vibrant. I'm really excited. I want to connect with people. That's my time to do all of my video trainings. That's a time where I'm going to network with people. I'm going to go, because my body is in that flow, and I have this natural energy source. But then right at the tail end of ovulation, right in the luteal phase before I start my period, that's where I rest. That's where I'm not meeting with people. I'm not booking myself on podcasts. I'm probably just going to meet with my team and do a little bit of my private one-on-one coaching, but that's it. So really, I kind of track it throughout the month, so I know when my big intentional push is going to be, and I also know when I'm going to rest. And as long as I honor that space and I honor the cycle and working with that natural flow, it really is supportive for me. And then also I have to make sure that my goals are really aligning with the greater good of all, because I notice if I get too ego and stuck in my head about how much money do I want to make, and what are the, how many people do we need to this, and what is the strategy, and what is that? If I get too stuck in my head, my body will make me pause, and to the point where I have to, kind of like being in the hospital, it'll literally make me stop and think about it and redesign, like, hey, where are you at? Where are you going? And are you really being in integrity with your belief that we deserve, and we should be leaning into this philosophy of full life wealth? I love your questions. I hope that answered that. And so with that is a wrap for Ask Ashley. I'm really excited. Thank you, Alex, for asking those questions. And of course, for everybody else who's hopping on here, it's really just an open-ended conversation. So if you do have questions, feel free to submit them to me or a member of Team Queenly, and we would love to feature you in the next upcoming episode of Ask Ashley, which is on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And also, this is going to be a really chill month for us. You're going to notice some rebranding coming across on all of our platforms, which I am so excited for. That's why we're going to be quiet for the next few months, because there's going to be a lot of things that are shifting as we really move into this luxury brand. So stay tuned with that. If you do want to check out the link, the link in my bio for all of the links, you will be able to access freebies, a call with me. You can join the academy. You have access to all of the opportunities in there. And then Alex says, you are an inspiration. Okay, last question. What would you suggest to anyone going through many changes, especially in these times? And what would you recommend to dealing with these changes? I would say that it depends. It really depends on what it is, because It could be, if it's in the area of relationships, if it's in the area of health, each of those kind of has a different protocol. But I would say, so what would you suggest to anyone who is going through many changes? What I would say is that things are unfolding for you. They're not unfolding and happening to you. Any significant thing that has happened in my life and anyone's life, I really do believe, even if it's horrible and it's awful and it's devastating, there is a beautiful lesson wrapped up in a bow inside. And so we can look at any situation, we can look at the change and be like, oh my gosh, feels like everything's falling apart. But really, if we lean in and say, hey, what is the lesson for me here? What is it that I am meant to not only learn, but implement and take this little drop of wisdom and carry it on into my life? Then the changes don't seem so big and scary. They feel like they're part of the journey and the destination, or the journey that you are on. And that's really what it is. So I think number one, an answer would be perspective, really inviting a new perspective to know that it's happening for you. It's not happening to you, because it's really easy to feel like, God, why is this happening? But really there is a divine lesson wrapped in there. And then number two, I would say reach out to someone who could help. And who could support you and guiding you in finding the right answers. But I think there's so many other layers and facets depending on what it is that you're leaning into. Another thing would be, depending on the change, is this a change that's related to a pattern that may be reoccurring in your life? And that's a great question too. If this similar thing keeps happening over and over and over again, then in what areas and what would it possibly be that a reason that you're attracting that into your space? Is there a lesson for you to learn and heal in order for that pattern to complete itself? So love that so much. Again, thank you everyone who's on here. Loving you so big. Have an amazing day full of amazing things. And can you guys hear that? I want to know. I'm kind of scared to show you the rest of my office because it's a little bit of a mess, but I will. Momo, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why? This is how we get work done. He's only 7 months old, so he's still a bit of a destructosaur. Anyways, have a great day, everyone. Bye.